Welcome to the Gerald Hendrick Texan Gentleman, the podcast that deals with the early life of J.R. Hendrick. Hello, welcome. This is in a narrated format. Unfortunately, I don't have the sound effects that I used to have, but we're going to do what we can eventually to fix that. Now, I say we get down to business, shall we? Now, we go ahead and we finish off. We go where we finished off. Now, it's a momentous moment for JR because he got the condo, which, to be honest with you, I am glad he did. Well, there was never any doubt in my mind that I was going to get it. Because I knew something my grandma mentioned in a codicil. Grandma and Uncle Tom. And a codicil of Granddad's will. Okay, so this episode is called, Is Jim Hendrick the Most Bombarded Administrator? Part 3. So you ready? Okay, so it's 6 p.m. Central. With Ken gone to his condo on 19th in Boston and Kevin gone to his apartment on 20th in Boston, Betsy went to get everybody Jumbo Joe's burgers. Tomorrow, Mike Fields would take a list from JR to buy him some groceries. Now, it's 7 p.m. And in the master bedroom, Jesse Pitts takes JR aside. And she's like, "You are so damn lucky. Just like your granddad. So cunning. And so clever," Betsy said. "I'm glad you ate tonight. For a change. Because you finally got what you wanted." See, this is what I think. I think Betsy wanted the condo to get the cow. I think Mama wanted to give it to Kyle, and Dad wanted to keep it for a party pad. Now, it's 8 p.m. Eastern. Jim, Bill, and Peggy Britley, and Gordon and Barbara Deckard are celebrating in the Dream Team Lounge. And Bill, he raises his bottle of beer and he says, "Here's to you, dear Jim." And Jim says, "One crisis averted. One crisis averted, people," Jim said. "Now, if I could just get the media off my back." And, Barbara Deckard speaks up and she says, "What you need to do is call Dave Rosenberg in Miami. I know Penny Dreyfus defamed you. At the same time, she was praising the outcome of the jury selection in the Bob Cooney trial. And, of course, Peggy Britley says, she has no right to judge you. Calm and disarming to the Clintons. But yet, you're treated almost like you're like a cross between Hitler and Nixon. And the men around the table, they started getting into laughter and everything. And Jim says, anyway, I called John and Tim. Tim's up in Baltimore taking care of a sick relative. But John is going to be there tomorrow for my press conference. Okay, so we know now where that leads. August 3rd, 7 a.m. Eastern. At 14 Heritage Gate, Jim is having breakfast with Gordon and Barbara Deckard. The Britleys were at a prayer breakfast at Capitol Hill. And Mrs. Deckard says, at least you got the common sense to get an attorney Thursday, Mrs. Deckard said. Tommy Goldberg recommended to me by Constantine Bush and my secretary Kelly. Tommy went to Princeton, Harvard Business School, and Columbia Law, Jim said. CBNC going to get the brunt of roughly $22 million in compensatory damages, Gordon said. And, of course, Jim says, wish me well on my conference this afternoon. They asked me about my private life. I'll decline to comment. So now it's 8 a.m. Central. JR is awake watching TV in one of the rooms as Betsy and Mary Fields are dusting and polishing the wooden furniture. Yeah, even Betsy's polishing the mahogany headboard of JR's bed. 11 a.m. Central. And while the women are straightening up the condo, Carmen, Mike Fields, and JR go to the grocery store to get him some groceries. Dinner that night at the condo, according to Mike Fields, was going to be chili dogs and chili burgers. Alright, so now it's 3 p.m. Eastern at 14 Heritage Gate, assisted by John Sistina. Jim is now doing his press conference he harangues Clinton for failed policies, and also harangues crackpot journalism for criticizing his marriage to Betsy. Announcing that he was suing the New York Examiner, the Atlantic Daily, and CBNC for slander for a total of over $22 million. Okay, so now it's 3:30 p.m. and President Clinton is in the Oval Office when he gets a call. And it's First Lady Hillary Clinton, who had just finished a press conference in New Haven, Connecticut. And since I wasn't able to access the recordings, this is how it went. Did you see Jim Hendrick's press conference? No, I just got to make him on my own. Oh, damn it, Hillary. He's going after me with both barrels. You know, it's your fault you chose to appoint him. My fault. I had to court favors with conservatives because of Whitewater, Hillary. Remember? Nearly 3 years ago? The judges in Little Rock were zeroing in on Webb Hubbell. All right? And Janet Reno said there wasn't much I could do. So I courted favors with conservatives. Next term you better think twice about that. Don't worry. Before the election, I'm going to tell Hendrick, goodbye. 7 p.m. Central. Back in Lubbock, Gerald, Mike, Mary, Fields, and Betsy sits down for chili cheese dogs and chili cheeseburgers. Though Jim had given the condo over, Mike was still very displeased with his attitude. However, Betsy and Mary reminded him that Jim was being hogtied by the press in Washington, D.C. 11 p.m. Back in Midland, David drops Christine from a Saturday night cotillion. The first round of summer-fall cotillions going on for the junior members of Midway Prep. Okay, so now it's 6 a.m. Central. This is interesting because Christine's having breakfast with Uncle Carl, Aunt Donna, and Jessica. And this is, and Christine's like, well, this is going to be interesting. This house is nice and quiet for a change. Well, Elizabeth Marie came back yesterday afternoon. Bobby flew back to Houston Friday. When Mom went to get that stupid condo for my dorky brother. His friends are gone. So that leaves a skeleton crew, Christine says. And, And of course, Uncle Carl has to speak up. He said, Micah and Mary Fields are going to be driving back Monday morning. Your mama has asked them to run the ranch, and she can get her and Jim back from Washington, D.C. And Aunt Donna said this. She said, I bristled in the ice when your daddy almost refused to let JR have the condo, Aunt Donna said. And, of course, and Jessica said this. She said, yeah, he had brains. He had veins as cold as ice. But I remember when I was 9 years old and we were at Montana, he used to call me Princess Jessica. And to call me Princess, Jessica said. And Carl says, yeah, enough. The deal is done. Okay, so it's 8 a.m. Central. And, of course, it's back at the condo. Seeing that JR can't go to church yet. He's watching Christian TV. As the women decorate the house, clean the blinds, and sweep the area inside out of the condo. Now, it's 12 p.m. Central, and at the condo, JR gets a call from Mristin. Apparently, she had left Thursday to be in Austin with her mother, but she would be flying early the next morning. JR promised to cook her dinner that next night. It would be tuna melt. Okay, so it's 1 p.m. Eastern. Back at 14 Heritage Gate, Jim is having drinks with Bill and Peggy Britley and Gordon and Barbara Deckard. And Jim said, gonna hit them liberal lounge lizards where it hurts, Jim said. If Bill Clinton wants me to shut up, and I have to work him up enough to fire me, and Bill said, you should see the front page of the Fort Worth Times. And Bill Britley says, he says, my upstanding business associate, Bill Martin, from Fort Worth, sent me the front page. Apparently, the weekends, things between Bill and Hillary are biting. According to this, when Bill was at Yale Law School, before he met Hillary, was having business dealings with law professor Michael Houston. Hot stuff for the Cowboys. And, of course, Gordon Deckard says, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Our aim is not to shame Clintons, to come up with an attack strategy for Jim. And Peggy said, what do you suggest? And so Barbara Deckard spoke up. Talk radio bombarded the White House with criticism until Bill Clinton is forced to send him on a leave of absence while the president is also on vacation. Barbara Deckard says. And, of course, and so what happened, Jim is on fire with this. Excellent strategy. I spoke to John at length yesterday on the B on the Blake Carter show on Tuesday. The Grace Arthur show on Wednesday. Maybe by then, Bill Clinton will get better towards my communication and will accept my leave of absence for as long as he's vacationing, Jim said. 2 p.m. Eastern at 14 Heritage Gate, Jim reads some more of the Fort Worth Times, where he learned that next Thursday, the D.C. Court of Appeals would hear opening arguments. Monday, the next Monday, the D.C. Court of Appeals would hear opening arguments and give an emergency ruling on jury selection in the Bob Cooney trial. All right. 3 p.m. Central. Betsy is doing the finishing touches on decorating the condo. Carmen takes JR out to get some cookies. Mike Fields is cleaning, buffing, and shining the kitchen floor. 4 p.m. Eastern. Back in Washington, Jim and his entourage are watching Raynard News. Where large commentary, Cricket Beckett goes after Norma Sanders and the Society page for slandering Jim and Betsy. 6 p.m. Eastern. Jim and his entourage are having fish sandwiches in the Dream Team Lounge. It was to be Jim's last night sleeping in the bed alone, as Betsy was going to be there the next morning. 8 p.m. Eastern. Jim gets a call from Carl. Apparently, Grandma Mary has suffered a mild heart attack and was being rushed to Middle Memorial Hospital. Carl promised to keep Jim informed. I gotta say, this is pretty action-packed, JR. True, but we ain't seen nothing yet. August 5th, 5 a.m. Central. On a charter jet flight, Betsy is sitting there reading the Bible, anticipating anxiously for arrival in D.C. and a chance to see her husband at last. 7 a.m. Mristin is flying flight 583 from Dallas Love Field back to Lubbock. She is anxious to see JR at long last after a month of being apart. 8:30 a.m. Eastern. At 14 Heritage Gate, Jim, who put himself on an executive leave, waits anxiously as Betsy's 1994 Chevy Suburban pulls up to the drive. She rushes out and jumps into his arms. Oh my God, Jim! Thank God I'm back with you. Let's not be apart like this. For a long time, Jim said, as a servant gets her luggage, and he leads her into the house. 8:15 a.m. Central. JR is waiting out front of his condo when Kristen's car service pulls up into her parking garage. JR! Kristen runs into his arms. I have been away from you for way too long. Well, let's not let that happen for a while. I mean, we can really help each other. Come on. Carmen will get your luggage and we'll go into your condo, Gerald said. Okay, so now it's 1 p.m. Eastern. Jim, okay, this is the thing. His executive day off turns into a half day off. Alongside Betsy, Jim returns for a half day's work at the EAA. Wednesday's meeting was to be a general meeting. This was to handle any housekeeping details going on in the agency. Okay. 3 p.m. Central. Back at the condo, JR and Kristen are making out, listening to Henry Mancini. Do you still miss it? This way? Gerald said. Even better, Kristen said. Like I said. Back at school. But long absence from each other is going to make us even more hot for each other. Interesting. Okay, so it's 5 p.m. Central. JR is preparing the ingredients for tuna melts, but Kristen's having trouble opening the can. And JR, he opens it, but he cuts his finger. Of course, Kristen has to doctor it. Okay, 8 p.m. Eastern. Jim and Betsy are in the U.S. House chamber. 418 House members vote to extend the budget through November 1st, guaranteeing continuing the budget battle. The evening had not gone well for Jim because another gossip rag called the Public Inquirer wrote a piece challenging JR's paternity. In this anger, he called Tommy Goldberg, who added the San Francisco paper to the case, making it a federal slander case that could easily be challenged in Washington, D.C. or Dallas. The requested amount from all 5 newspapers was now going to be $95 million. Okay. August 6th, 6 a.m. Central. JR and Kristen are having waffles together in his condo when he asked her to accompany him to buy textbooks. But Kristen already had set up a lunch meeting with her friend, Betsy Chavez. Luckily, JR has a backup plan. He would go buy the textbooks with Kevin McDonald. Now, I gotta be honest with you. Kristen is showing some early signs that she don't want to be with him all the time. Okay, so it's 11 a.m. Central. And at Double T Bookstore, JR and Kevin buy their textbooks. When Kevin notices JR's bandaged finger. Man, what happened there to you? Kevin McDonald said. It's nothing. Try to open the can. I was able to get it open, but I cut my finger. Kristen doctored it for me, Gerald said. And Kevin, forever health conscious. Man, don't forget these books. But let me take you to your doctor to get a tetanus shot. And JR corrects Kevin. No, Kevin. I took a tetanus shot 10 years ago, and it made me violently ill. Dr. Bertrand said I had mild signs of being a carrier, Gerald said. I didn't know. 4 years of living with you off and on, and I just didn't know what it was all about. Your cousin Joe tried to warn me. Okay, so it's 1 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, at the EAA, Jim and his assistant are watching President Clinton's remarks on the budget. He knows that Betsy is currently at a ladies' tea with Amanda Fitzwilliam. Okay, so it's 2 p.m. Eastern. At the EAA, Jim is meeting with the finance department of the SBA. Tell with the EAA through some crisis communication management. Okay, so now it's 3 p.m. Central. And at Kristen's condo, she and JR are making out again. However, the line of leisure would have to be cut short. Because at 6:30 tonight, they had an Amistar meeting. 6:30 p.m. Central. Still in Lubbock, JR and Kristen are at the meeting where Frank Peterson delivers the presentation for Amistar. Some pretty interesting things here, because if you think about it, it is pretty interesting. Okay, so it's 1 p.m. Central. Discovering that the general meeting was canceled simply because Phil Waiter, whose daughter was back in Georgetown University Hospital with gastroenteritis, advised it to be done. So, because the White House was not thrilled that the budget of fiscal year 1997 was only good through November 1st. And so he goes to the Richland, the Deckard Mansion, to play golf with Gordon Deckard. Fully through with the power games and semantics in Washington, D.C., Jim is ready to go on his summer leave of absence. In fact, that day, Jim confided in Gordon that he was ready to return back home to Texas permanently, saying he would oppose his appointment to any further job in the Clinton administration. And you can't really blame him there. 3 p.m. Central. Kristen has her car service drop her off in the parking garage. Just went to the live studio. They're signing me on for $7 million, Kristen said. Matilda has made goulash for dinner tonight, Gerald said. Actually, Betsy is going to take me for dinner out, Kristen said. Breakfast tomorrow, Gerald said. No problem, Kristen said. Count on it. Okay, so it's 7 p.m. Central, and JR is having goulash with Stoney Rosen. Heather went out shopping with her girls, so I thought we'd have a guy's Bible study, Stoney said. Stoney says. And so now it's about 8:30, and Kristen arrives in the parking garage, and her her car service, Freddie, the driver, calls JR over. You look like a nice Texas gentleman. So watch her. She can be trouble, Freddie said. And Kristen says, Freddie can be a bird-brained idiot, Kristen said. Anyway. Alright, so there we go. Obviously, something went wrong, yeah. We gotta... Here we go. This was the 8th, okay. 8 a.m. Eastern. In Washington, D.C., Jim is testifying for the House Appropriations Committee in the House Longworth office building, one of the main meeting rooms. 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Matilda has brought back donuts for JR for breakfast. And he's listening to Christian radio when he hears this commercial come on. Exciting news! Carmen Lupacella and his Conquest of Truth tour will be coming Monday, August 26th at the Lubbock Municipal Auditorium. Tickets are on sale. And JR picks up the phone and calls Brad and he says, I wish I bought tickets for that concert. That Carmen concert. Coming up later on this month for me and Kristen. And Brad's like, JR, relax. Dr. Michelle got tickets for all of us. Fine. I'll go get backstage passes for all of us, JR said. Okay, so it's 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. JR has been eating some hamburger. That Matilda gotten. So, and he's listening to Andrew House show for the first full hour. Andrew House was predicting Dick Morris's downfall. Now, JR is listening to his father on the Andrew House show. 2 p.m. Eastern at the EAA building. Jim is running his request for an 8-day leave of absence to be delivered to President Clinton that afternoon. 4 p.m. Central. JR and Kristen have been making out in the house for 2 hours now. Both of them decided they wanted hamburgers for dinner. So JR gave Carmen their order to deliver dinner to Kristen's condo. 8 p.m. Eastern. Jim and Betsy, they're back in the house, U.S. House chamber. And the vote is tabulated on the Small Business Jobs Protection Act. 383 members of Congress voted for the measure, including Congressman Bill Hume. 52 Democrats voted no on the amendment. 3 Republicans abstained. So there we go. All right. Now we're rounding up to the end. Yeah, I'm glad too. So now it's 9 a.m. Eastern in the Oval Office on Air Force One. President Clinton takes a phone call from Jim. We need to talk, Mr. President. Why don't you just go ahead and spare me and tell me what's going on? I sent you a letter requesting leave of absence while you're on vacation. Like it or not, I'm at the airport back to go to Wheeling, West Virginia. Fine. Take your damn charter jet and get out of here. Okay, so it's 11 a.m. Eastern. Jim and Betsy, Bill and Peggy Britley arrive at the Lakeside Mansion estate of Amistar multimillionaire John Crown. Although a paraplegic, the man was able to grow at least upwards of $30 million. According to Bill Britley, he was a powerhouse, not letting his adult onset paralysis stop him. Jim, this place is incredible. Reminds us of back home, Betsy said. Now, Betsy, this ranch runs itself, Jim said. All right. With that, I give it 3.3 root beers. A House vote protecting small business. And an end to the budget battle. JR? I give it tuna melt sandwiches, buying textbooks, and an Amistar meeting. Thank you, JR. I hope you enjoy listening to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the adventure. This is the James Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story, because it's going to be a little bit more interesting from here.